Hello everyone, my name is Azinaja binti ID Kasana. My number metric is E22800381. I'm from Group 13. Today, we like to present the effectiveness of the enforcement of EIA Acts and regulation in Malaysia.
It is my team group have Azlin Izayani, Nur Natasha Atika, Nur Marahaini Anis, Azina Jiha, Mira Vaishnavi, Nurfa Rasuha, and I, Nur Aina Nadira. It is first slide is about executive summary. What is executive summary? The study assessment, the effectiveness of the environmental impact assessment EIA implementation in Malaysia. Although EIA is mandated under the Environmental Quality Act from 1974, its enforcement still face challenges such as web post approval, monitoring, lack of technical expertise, and transparency issue. The study recommend improvement including stronger oversight, enhance institution capacity, and greater public participation to ensure better compliance and promote more sustainable development in Malaysia.
Hello, my name is Natasha Atika binti Muhammad Azhar. My metric number is E22A0348. This is my part, which is background. Malaysia is facing environmental issues due to rapid economic growth, such as pollution, deforestation, and biodiversity loss. The Environmental Impact Assessment EIA is mandated under Section 34A of the Environmental Quality Act 0974 and further detailed in the EIA Order 1987. Its purpose is to evaluate and mitigate environmental impact before a development project is approved. Although a legal framework exists, the effectiveness of enforcement remains questionable. Key issues include weak monitor, limit agency resources, low transparency, and inconsistent action against violation. In many cases, the EIA process is carried out as a mere formality rather than as an effective environmental safeguard. Lack of public participation also undermines trust and accountability in the EIA process. Therefore, assessing the effectiveness of EIA enforcement is crucial to ensure sustainable development and environmental protection. This is the problem statement. Environmental Impact Assessment EIA has been legally required in Malaysia since 1987 to ensure environmental concerns are addressed early in project planning. Its goal is to predict and reduce potential environmental impact before development begins. However, despite a clear legal framework, enforcement remains weak. Development projects have proceeded without fully complying with EIA findings, often bypassing public participation, scientific review, and proper monitoring. Key issues include weak institutional enforcement, insufficient penalty, low transparency, overlapping agency role, and limited resources in the Department of Environment. Political will and interagency coordination are also lacking. As a result, environmental harm continue, public trust decline, and long-term impacts such as biodiversity loss, health risks, and land use conflict increase. Thus, assessing the effectiveness of EIA enforcement is critical to improve compliance, enhance accountability, and protect the environmental sustainability. This is the objective. First, to examine the current legal and institutional framework governing the enforcement of environmental impact assessment, law and regulation in Malaysia. Second, to assess the effectiveness of enforcement mechanism used by the Department of Environmental and other relevant agencies in ensuring compliance with EIA required. Third, to identify the key challenge and limitation faced in the enforcement of EIA regulation, including legal, administrative, technical, and political factors.
Literature. Overview of Environmental Impact Assessment (EIA) in Malaysia. Environmental Impact Assessment or EIA is a crucial process used to assess the potential environmental effects of proposed development project before they begin. In Malaysia, EIA is legally enforced under Section 34A of the Environmental Quality Act 1974. The Environmental Quality Prescribed Activities Order 2015 lists the types of projects that must be undergo the EIA. The main purpose of the EIA process is to prevent environmental damage by integrating environmental considerations into planning and decision making. Secondly, importance of effectiveness enforcement. While the EIA process is in place, its effectiveness depends heavily on strong enforcement. Effective enforcement ensures that developers follow the environmental guideline and mitigation measure outlined in the EIA report. Without proper enforcement, EIA become a procedural formality and projects may proceed without real environmental accountability.
Next, challenges in the enforcement of EIA. Despite the legal framework, several challenges weaken EIA enforcement in Malaysia. One major issue is the lack of the manpower and technical expertise in the Department of Environment, which affects site inspections and monitoring. Public participation is also limited. Many communities are unaware of EIA reports or struggle to understand the technical terms. Furthermore, some EIA approvals may be influenced by political or economic pressures which compromise environmental protections. Finally, post-approval monitoring is often inconsistent and some developers fail to follow the required mitigation and action. Next, role of public participation and non-governmental organizations (NGO). Non-governmental organizations or NGOs such as Sahabat Alam Malaysia and the Environmental Protection Society of Malaysia help by monitoring projects and raising environmental concern. However, they do not have formal enforcement power and must rely on advocacy to influence the decisions. In contrast, countries like Canada and the Netherlands have stronger systems including independent environmental tribunals and digital database for EIA reports. Malaysia can improve by learning from these countries, especially by strengthening transparency, increasing public engagement, and ensuring independent monitoring.
Next, I will present Chapter 3, Method of Getting Information. To collect reliable and relevant data for this study, our group used a mixed method approach, which includes 5 key sources, which are library materials, internet source, expert interviews, official document from government departments, and report from NGOs and media. First, library source. We refer to textbooks, journals, and student theses from both the physical and digital collection of the university library. This helps us build a strong theoretical understanding of the EIA process, legal responsibilities of developers, and the roles of enforcement agencies. We also identify previous research that highlight similar enforcement issues. Second, internet source. We gathered update policies, data, and case studies from official websites like the Department of Environment (DOE) and the Ministry of Natural Resources. We also use Google Scholar to find academic articles discussing EIA enforcement gaps and international comparisons. Third, expert interviews. We held informal interviews with former DOE officers, researchers, and consultants. These interviews reveal on-the-ground challenges like political interference, limited site inspections, and enforcement delays. Their insights help us validate and strengthen our findings. Fourth, governmental departments. We use official documents such as the Environmental Quality Act 1974, EIA guidelines, and DOE enforcement statistics. These provide clarity on the legal framework, agency responsibilities, and the real enforcement landscape in Malaysia. Lastly, other source. We also refer to NGO reports from organizations like Sahabat Alam Malaysia and WWF Malaysia, as well as news articles from The Star and Free Malaysia Today. This gave us public perspective on high-profile EIA issues and environmental controversies often not reflected in official reports. In summary, by combining all these sources, we ensure our study is well-rounded and supported by credible and diverse information.
Hello everyone, my name is Azinaja binti ID Kasana. My number matric is E2280381. Today, I will present the result of our finding regarding the enforcement of EIA regulation in Malaysia. Although Malaysia has a strong legal framework such as the Environmental Quality Act 1974, the actual implementation of EIA is often hindered by various challenges. These include inconsistent practices between different states and a lack of standardized follow-up after approval. This inconsistency reduces the effectiveness of the EIA process. Next, the Department of Environment or DOE faces significant resource constraint. There is shortage of staff and limited financial support, which affect their ability to carry out timely site inspection, enforce the law effectively, and monitor ongoing projects. As a result, some environmental risks go unnoticed or unresolved. Furthermore, our finding revealed violation of the EIA process in major development projects. For example, in the Penang Soft Reclamation (PSR) and East Coast Rail Link (ECRL) project, work was found to have started even before the EIA process was fully completed. These violations receive minimal penalties and lack public disclosure, raising serious concern about transparency and fairness. In conclusion, although the legal foundation for environmental protection in Malaysia is strong, weakness in enforcement resources and procedural complaints continue to undermine the effectiveness of the EIA process.
My name is Azizani bint Azmi. My metric number is E228048. For the fourth point for a result, the issue is weak public participation. Many local communities, especially in rural area, don't attend EIA consultation because of poor timing, hard to reach location, and complex language in the reports. For the fifth point, there are positive interventive. The My EIA system help with online submission and monitoring of EIA documents. States like Selangor and Penang also added local monitoring and share more information through websites and press conference.
Discussion number 1 with enforcement. The Department of Environment (DOE) struggles to manage the high number of development projects, resulting in ineffective monitoring and enforcement of EIA conditions. Number 2, political and economic influence. High profile or government backup projects often receive fast-track approval without strict compliance with EIA regulation. Number 3, unfair implementation. Different treatment of certain group undermines the credibility of the EIA process and causes dissatisfaction among affected communities. Number 4, with public consultation. Public consultation are often symbolic with little meaningful participation from local communities, especially in rural and indigenous areas. Number 5, proposed improvement. The use of real-time monitoring technology, DOE staff training, transparent enforcement, whistleblower protection, and greater public involvement could enhance the effectiveness of the EIA system.
And the last part is about conclusion. Malaysia Environmental Impact Assessment (EIA) system has significant investment problem, including limited financing, poor integrity, coordination, and little public awareness and involvement. Even though it is legal, valid, public objectives are ignored, seeing many infected communities and stay unaware of their right. Malaysia must increase institution capacity, maintain transparency, encourage increased public participation, bolster law enforcement, and user contemporary monitoring technique. In order to fortify the system in the end, a collaborative, open approach including all stakeholders including required to ensure that EIA actively contribute to the country's environmental sustainability. environmental sustainability rather than being a meaningless formality. That's all. Thank you.